Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel, Warren Canonigo, and you're watching the FYI sessions where Filipino learners can savor bite-sized English lessons with my best friends, my partners, the Merriam-Webster Dictionary and Print-to-Solve Grammar and Composition by Gary Ferlini and co-authors. Today, we will talk about oxymoron. That's right, oxymoron. I'm sure in your classes, this has been introduced as one of the figures of speech. Yes, an oxymoron is a figure of speech. Example, deafening silence. Deafening silence, nakakabinging katahimikan. Meron bang katahimikan na nakakabingi? Of course, there is none. Silence is associated with the absence of noise. And deafening is associated with the presence of excessive noise that you feel like you're being deaf. A kind of noise that would destroy your auditory function. Okay. So if you would realize, these words have contradictory implications. So if the first word were a noun, it would qualify as an antonym. But the combination of these words, or if these words are put in juxtaposition, you will realize that they have a special meaning. And deafening silence means very, very quiet, or quite quiet. That you feel like you're deaf because you don't hear anything. That's how peaceful and tranquil it is in that kind of environment where you experience deafening silence. Okay. From that example, we can say that oxymoron is a figure of speech characterized by a combination or a pairing of two words with contradictory meanings, or in some cases, antonyms that are combined, and it actually will produce a different kind of meaning. Okay. Now, oxymoron is a singular form, and if you want to make it plural, then you can just add letter S to say oxymorons. Or you can also say oxymora. So you have to omit the last two letters, O and N, and then replace that with one letter, and that's letter A, oxymora. Again, the singular form is oxymoron, and the plural forms are oxymorons and oxymora. Don't forget that in the word oxymoron, the major stress is assigned to the third syllable, which is ma, oxymoron, ma, oxymoron. Okay? So let's have more examples of oxymoron. Say science fiction. Science is based on facts. Fiction is based from the imagination. But when you say science fiction, it's a movie or a book or a work of art which is based from the creativity of the artist, but based and inspired from science theories and principles. Next is tough love. We always associate love with being gentle and being kind, but tough is, of course, something that you don't really think first if you read or hear the word love. But when they're combined, they create a special meaning. And that means doing something that be considered a little bit harsh, a little bit strong, but it's an indication of love, you know? Let's say, for example, when you're being spanked or you're being scolded by your parents in a way that you think is really intense, but then again, it's made out of love. Okay? Next is white lie. Okay. Lie is of course, it's a sin. And when it's sin, we associate with evil, which is associate with the black color. You know, black, unfortunately, the color black, even if in my case, I consider it the color of decency and elegance. And in some cases, I believe it's really a classic color, but at the same time, it also connotes, it's given the connotation of evil. So when you say white lie, it seems contradictory, opposing. But what's a white lie? From my research, A white lie is the act of it's the story that you have to make up to protect someone for the benefit of someone. So it is linked to a good intention. Okay. Next is friendly foe. This is what you call frenemy. You know, friend is the opposite of foe. But when you use a friendly foe, of course, a frenemy. Cold War. Okay, war is associated with explosions and heat and noise. But when you say Cold War, it means you're actually not yet in speaking terms with someone. So there's no confrontation yet, and that issue is not yet resolved. So in that case, you don't really talk to each other yet. Okay. So the best definition of this is, not in speaking terms. A situation wherein two friends are not yet, or two familiar people are not yet in speaking terms. Open secret. Secret is supposed to be associated with the idea of being closed or being kept or being hidden. And open is associated with something that is divulged, something that is visible, something that is seen, something that is known. But when you say open secrets, it means, from what I have learned, it's a situation which is not really talked about in the open. And maybe in some cases, the person who is keeping the secret or the people involved in keeping the secret do not know yet that a lot of people not included in the group already know about it. So that's an open secret. Next is serious joke. Is there such a thing as a serious joke? A joke is supposed to be funny. Sometimes maybe it's half meant, but most of the time it's just actually delivered for fun. But when you say a serious joke, it means that someone is being affected by the joke. So a serious joke is, how do you call this? Maybe insulting or offensive to someone who is guilty about doing whatever behavior it is that is implied in the joke. Something like that. Next, solid water. Water is liquid, not solid. So definitely solid and the fact that water is a liquid are opposing. But when you say solid water, it means, of course, ice. Because when water is frozen, it becomes solid. Okay? And back to liquid again due to the increase in temperature. Next is fatal attraction. We're only attracted to something which is useful, which is beautiful, which we think are really good for us. And fatal means can cause death. Okay. So fatal attraction is actually a manifestation wherein we tend to choose or to do something that we think is beneficial, but then again, it can gradually kill us. It can softly kill us. Fatal attraction. Next is half empty. When we hear the word empty, we always think of something which do not have any content in it. I mean, you say half, it becomes contradictory. According to my sources, half empty means discontentment, like a feeling of discontentment. That's half empty. Next is bittersweet. Exactly, very obvious that this is an oxymoron. When you eat something bitter, you will never feel a sensation of sweetness unless you add sugar. That is why a perfect example of a food item which has a bittersweet flavor profile is milk chocolate or sweetened dark chocolate. In life, bittersweet is an adjective that you can use to refer to mixed emotions. You know, let's say, for example, a very good friend of yours will say goodbye and would live in a different country in 2 years to work. That definitely would yield or would evoke bittersweet emotions from you because, of course, you're a friend. You have established very good memories. You'd be happy for her for at least having fulfilled a goal in life. And of course, that's to work abroad. But at the same time, you're actually sad because you actually miss those things that you usually do together. So, okay, that's bittersweet. It's a very simple example. Next is living dead. Example of this is zombie. In literature, the classic example of a living dead is a zombie. Okay, but you can research more in Google. Next is genuine imitation. Genuine means original, authentic. Imitation means a just a copy or replica. So again, very contradictory. But when you say genuine imitation, it's a copy. It's a high quality copy, a high quality replica of something. Like class A, you know, in the how do you call this? In the I don't say online selling industry. Well, in the business industry, they call it class A emit. Yes, or there's another one. Yeah, that's it, replica. They call it replica. It's like a slang term or jargon in business. Like when you ask retail operators, they can best explain what the meaning what's the difference between the class A emit and the emit is the clipped word for imitation, and the replica, the ones that they replica, and they say it's next to the original. And there are so many oxymoron. You can research more in Google. And at least for this episode, for this video, for this lesson, this is the last example. Wildflower. A flower is associated with being dainty and pure, virgin. So we would, being wild. While this will never be a connotation of a flower, but you combine them. We combine these words, it means a beautiful or a pretty woman, or sometimes not really physically pretty, but someone whom you think whom you think is never capable of doing something evil. But definitely that person, a wildflower, has in mind an evil plan or is planning to take revenge. Okay. And among the examples of oxymoron that I showed you for this episode, this is the only oxymoron which is in structure combined or solid oxymoron, because the two words are combined. There's no space in between. While the rest of the examples are separated compound words. This is the only one just combined. So most oxymorons are separated, but it depends. Okay? So I hope you learned something new today. I hope you have fun in this episode. And I hope to see you next time. Bye.